Your use of language has altered since our arrival. It is currently laced with, shall we say, more colorful metaphors. Double dumb butt on you, and so forth.
Oh, you mean the profanity?
Yes.
Well, that's simply the way they talk here. Nobody pays attention unless you swear and listen to this episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Thunder Road 3 now online. How can I help you travel through movie space-time today? Course entered. Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, 1986. Is this correct? Course set. Rewinding in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I'm your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz. I should say the former pod. And I'm joined by your favorite XO and mine, Paul, the PaulJPowers.com Powers.
Captain, there be whales here. And I don't mean our guest host.
Wow.
Nor our listeners. So hope I didn't offend anybody on there.
Back, Paul. Jeez. Well, yeah, that's great, Paul. Also, for this discussion of the film, Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, we welcome aboard for the first time the worship leader at her church and host of the Nerds and Jesus podcast, Mary Howell. Hey, Mary.
Hey.
So
glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. Yeah. And in addition to Mary, we are glad to have back aboard Escape Pod Systems shipman, Jacob Heron. Hey, Jacob.
Live long and prosper, guys.
Live long and prosper. Finally, we're glad to have back aboard on his 10th time sailing with us, Drew Dodgen. And Drew, since this is your 10th time, you are being promoted to communications officer. Congratulations.
Yeah!
Well, that's good because I'm looking for the nuclear waffles. I think they're in Alameda.
Yeah. Oh, over in Alameda. Yeah, exactly.
Which apparently is just right down the street here in Texas. That's why they couldn't find it.
Yeah. Oh, my word. And now that you have a quick flyby of who we are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home?
All right. Let's check my notes here. All right. The Long Voyage Home was released October 8th, 1940, and it was rated approved.
Paul?
Yes, The Long Voyage Home.
Trek. Is there Star Trek 4 in that title at all?
No, it's The Voyage Home.
Then that's not
Long Voyage Home. It's a class. What? We're not reviewing the classic by John Ford starring John Wayne?
Paul, you know what? What do you think? Do you think we're covering that?
Yes.
No, we're not. Go back.
What are we watching?
Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home.
Oh.
That could have been brought to my attention yesterday.
That being said, if there is a John Wayne movie where he has to save the whales, I'd be interested in watching
absolutely. That. It was John Ford, I think he said, but
well, it's directed by John Ford, starring John Wayne.
Oh, okay. All the Johns.
Anyway. All right. Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. That's what you should have told me. Then there would be no mix-up.
Yeah, what was I thinking?
Anyways, that was released November 21st in 1986. It runs an hour and 59 minutes and is rated PG. It was directed by Leonard Nimoy and also written by him along with Harvey Barnett or Harv Bennett, however you pronounce Harv's name. Bennett too, maybe. I don't know. He has a E at the end of his first name. I don't even know how to pronounce his first name, let alone his last name. Let's see. Let's move on with the lead stars being William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelley, and the original Star Trek bunch, with the music being composed by Leonard Rosenmund.
I think it's Rosenman, but...
Rosenman. Sorry, you're right. Rosenman. It's like Saruman, but Rosen.
It's not a Digimon. It sounds like a Digimon.
Hey,
Yeah.
how much did this movie cost to make, Paul?
Oh, you ready for the box office trivia?
Yes, let's go for it.
Okay, the box office trivia. Let's see. Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home was made for about $26 million and earned over $133 million in the box office.
Ooh.
So given this fact, how high in the box office, not in your local office at home or the post office. But in the box office in 1986, how high do you think it ranks among the other movies released theatrically?
All right, so we're going to
go for the top 50.
Top 50. And anyone live in chat, you're welcome to join in the guesses. Bobo coming in hot with 42. But Mary, what is your guess for where this ranked in the top 50 movies of 1986?
Oh, I don't know.
Shot in the dark. It's okay.
I have no idea. I want to just like go with somewhere in the middle. So probably like 28.
28. Okay, awesome. Jacob, what's your guess?
I'm going to go with a solid 23.
23. Drew, are you going to Price is Right, your co-host?
I am actually going to highball this and go with the number on the case, 4.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
And then, like I said, Bobo in chat guesses 42. Rushmore Show, hello, guesses 33. Kenneth then guesses 15. Bobo would say 8, but yeah, you have to go with your gimmick, Bobo. I am going to be a little less generous and say 32, which is 4 times 8 for what that's worth. Paul, where did this actually end up?
All right. According to the-numbers.com, Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home came in at number 5.
Oh my gosh.
So off, most of us.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, good job. Star Trek 4, number 5. Well done. Well done. Thank you. And thank you for those factoids, Paul. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind meld or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we'll get into once Alice has located our target film.
Alert. Alert. Target located. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
When they decided to go home,
judging by the pollution content of the atmosphere, I believe we have arrived at the latter half of the 20th century.
everybody remember where we parked. They had no idea how far they'd go. Any of their customs will doubtless take us by surprise.
What does it mean, exact change?
You're from outer space.
No, I'm from Iowa. I only work in outer space. Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, rated PG.
Now playing at theaters everywhere.
I love it when these movies are playing at theaters everywhere, except they're not playing there anymore. How do I see them now?
I believe the narrator.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe we should all believe them. And we probably remember believing narrators. And I'm curious if any memories from the past came into our memory mind meld synopsis of the present. So here it is for Star Trek 4. Or IV: The Voyage Home, like Paul likes to say.
That's not me. That's the title. I didn't come up with that.
A space burrito tells Earth it will be destroyed if they don't have whales. Starfleet sends Kirk and crew back in time in a Klingon bird of prey they stole in the last movie from Klingon Doc Brown in order to get humpback whales from the mom of Seventh Heaven. But then it's punk rock versus Spock on a bus. Uhura and Chekhov find the nuclear vessel they can use to recharge the warp core to get back home. Hello, computer. The Enterprise crew survives the A's and gets the whales to the future San Francisco, making the space burrito go away. I mean, there were certainly elements of that were right on, but some of it was deceptive, because I don't think Starfleet actually sent them. They sort of went of their own accord.
Pretty much.
Yep.
But based on those memories, as flawed as they were, what reign did they lead you to predict? So not your final reign of Star Trek 4, but the one you predicted before you rewatched it or watched it for the first time. Did you predict classic, nostalgic, or tragic? Let's start with Mary. What was your prediction?
I was just guessing classic.
Classic, okay.
Yes.
And had you seen Star Trek 4 before?
No. So I'm coming in with a brand new perspective, watching it for the first time. So maybe I've just watched
This is going to be interesting
today. So I'm fresh.
Okay.
My mind is like, I'm in it.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
Have you seen any other Star Trek films, or was this your first Star Trek experience?
Well, no, I've watched some of the series, but but more of the more recent ones than I have like this series and this film. So
okay, awesome. Jacob, what was your prediction?
Classic.
Classic. And
was the movie that I've watched over and over again in my youth. So
wow,
classic.
okay, cool. Drew, how about you? I'm sure you've seen this movie before, being the
many times.
Okay.
I actually am going to predict this will be a nostalgic.
Nostalgic, all right. Paul, how about you?
I enjoyed watching this as a kid, but I thought I've seen it a few times as an adult, thinking it wasn't as good as I thought it was as a kid, kind of hokey in parts. So I predicted nostalgic as well.
Nostalgic as well. Let's see. Kenneth in chat predicted tragic. And then I actually sort of felt the same way as you, Paul, and went with nostalgic prediction 2. It'll be interesting to see if any of those predictions come true. But first, before we get to any final ratings, let's get into the things we liked most about Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. And so, Travis, boot up our like section.
Best bits.
Okay, and let's start with our guest. So, Mary, how about you start us off? What was one thing you liked about Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home?
Well, I love time travel. Anything that has to do with anything with time travel, and just for me being a huge Doctor Who fan, from being all the things in between with time travel. So coming into this, and I was like, they're time traveling, yes, and to the 80s, so even better. So that was definitely one of the things that absolutely really liked about this.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, I have something to say about that, but I do want to comment that, I typically, if there's time travel in a movie, I am on board already. That's a great in for me. So I'm right with you there.
Assuming
Jacob,
it's done well.
Yeah, exactly.
No, even when it's done horribly, no.
Okay.
Jacob, was the time travel an element you liked, or was there something else that you enjoyed about this film?
I enjoy the time travel because there again, I've always been a huge fan of Back to the Future. It's my bread and butter when it comes to movies. So yeah, the time travel aspect of this movie is so well done. It's be like if you try to break it down continuity wise, be like, are they changing the space time continuum? But it's just all done for fun. But I enjoy this aspect of the film.
Okay, very cool. Drew, is it the same for you? You like the time travel?
I do like the time travel, but that's not my like.
Okay, well, before we get to your like, then please, guys, help me understand. How does time travel work in this? They go around the sun, and that gets them in the past.
That was definitely questionable.
Okay. Hang on, let me answer.
There is a scientific explanation for it.
Okay,
and I'll let Drew go ahead.
So here's the thing. Warp factor 10 basically means anywhere and everywhere at the same time. So they're accelerating. You hear it at the beginning where they're accelerating past warp 8, warp 9, 9.2, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Essentially, them accelerating plus the gravity well going around the sun accelerates them just up enough to just barely touch warp 10, and somehow the braking thrusters firing at exactly right time somehow stops them right where they're supposed to go.
Okay.
Right. Here's a little more scientific explanation I'm going to infuse into that. Building off of what Drew said, he's absolutely right. You heard the theory that the faster you go, the more time slows down.
Yes. I think
it's based on.
It's like the Flash.
Right. Once you go faster than the speed of light, it goes backwards.
Right. So once you hit the threshold, you can only go so far, and then they say, and when you get to warp 10, as Drew was saying, you basically stand still. So they use the gravitation let me back up a second. While going at warp 10, they use the gravitation of the sun to pull them even faster than warp 10 and whip them around. And that pushed them through that barrier so that they were actually going in reverse. Because they went so fast, not only did it stop, but it went reverse.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I guess.
And they got really lucky that they didn't turn into lizards like in that one episode of Voyage.
Yes.
I'm just not sure how they time it to end up in the 80s, but okay. That's
Spock did the calculations.
Oh, yeah, of course. The calculations, yes. Okay, that's fair. Thank you guys for explaining that, because I was really confused. So I appreciate that explanation.
Sorry, it's nerd stuff or geek stuff, depending on who you ask.
It's the Superman time travel method.
Yeah.
So, Drew, what was your like? It wasn't the time travel so much. What did you enjoy about this?
So this one hit me this time, I think, more than it has any other time I've watched this movie. And that was conversation between Sarek and Spock at the very end.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I think it hit me maybe because I'm getting older.
Exactly.
Maybe because I just got done watching Strange New World season 2, and
so
Spock
good.
is
So
much more of a. It's kind of been going over his relationship with his past and his family.
Does Leonard Nimoy voice him in the?
No, it's Ethan
series?
Peck.
Ethan Peck.
Why didn't they get Leonard Nimoy?
Because Leonard Nimoy, unfortunately, has passed.
But AI
That's
voice.
a technicality. Yeah, exactly.
No, blasphemy. No, Ethan Peck is doing a great job.
He's really
Ethan
great.
Peck actually does an amazing job. But,
is that the guy who did him in the 2009?
No,
he was in Discovery also.
Okay.
Well, Discovery hired him.
Yeah.
Some of the good things that came out of
They
Discovery.
discovered him, I would say.
Anyway, so
no, but
Spock
watching, listening to that conversation, knowing how estranged their relationship is in the lore, and hearing them having this conversation. Granted, every other time I've watched this, it's like, okay, yeah, they're not on good terms, and this is, and they're talking about. This time, it's like, oh, you can almost see the emotion.
Yeah.
Even though they're Vulcans, they don't technically have emotions. Actually, they do, but they're restrained.
Mm-hmm.
But you can just both Mark Leonard and Leonard Nimoy are doing such a good job showing that tension while still being very restrained and very stoic and and not showing emotions in a way that it's just I was crying, not really crying, but I was choked up. As that scene was going on.
I'm missing something. Are they like related? Are they lovers?
Father and son.
Father and son.
Wait, Sarah. Oh, whoa, Sarah. Oh, I'm getting confused with the girl Vulcan.
No, that's Saavik.
Why do they have to have such similar names? I don't know who's who.
And they do have a relationship.
This makes so much more sense. Everything you just said, I time travel back, I zip past the sun. Now it makes so much more sense. Okay,
some fan theories do state that she technically has Spock's kid at the end of that, but
one of the producers even said that.
Yeah.
Or the hired hand said it.
Well, I will, but to what Drew was saying, it's great.
Sarek and
Sarek and Spock.
That makes so much more sense.
It's great that they got Mark Leonard to return his role from the original series as well.
Well, and Amanda is the same actress from the original series too.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, who is that?
That was his mother there. That was talking to him.
Oh, okay, cool. I thought that was Winona Ryder.
That's Jane Wyatt in this version. Winona Ryder is the Kelvin universe. You're in the wrong universe.
No, she's in the Stranger Things universe. Okay, I'm going to be done.
Yes.
Let's go back.
In the upside down world.
Timey-wimey. Let's move on.
Yeah. Let's move on to Mary once more. What's something else you liked about this film?
I really liked more of just the reaction to, obviously, like, I mean, it kind of ties into the time travel thing, but the reaction to everything down on Earth. I think it's always so funny to see just even just Spock not understanding social cues as far as like cussing and all that kind of things to just they're asking basically the police officer of like where the nuclear vessels are, where are they? I'm like, no.
Yes, the Russian is during the Cold War is asking where the nuclear vessels are.
Exactly.
Great. What's the problem? No, Mary, that was one of my likes too. I love the whole seeing the crew in different ways as fish out of water. Yeah. Like I particularly loved the Scotty talking to the mouse as if it's a microphone. Hello, computer. Exactly.
I've got a funny story involving that, but we'll save that for a minute.
Mm-hmm. Them experiencing all the profanity and whatnot. I thought that was funny. And yeah, like one of you had said, the nuclear vessels that Chekhov was saying. Yeah, I enjoyed that as well. Paul, what's something you liked about this film?
This was going to be my classic maker, but I'm going to bring it a step down. And say that the cast, just to see the William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelley, James Doohan, George Takei, Walter Koenig, Nichelle Nichols, all these people back in these classic roles as these classic characters is just so fun to see them in their element. Yeah. It was going to be my classic maker, but then I remember movies like Star Trek V and such, so that's like they're in the same characters, but not in
it wouldn't make sense for that to
So,
okay, I see. Okay.
So there are things that separate it, but these actors in these roles are great to watch for me.
Awesome. Jacob, what's something else you liked?
Mine would be This movie is comedy gold, but not over the top comedy. This is utilizing the actors, utilizing the characters of who they are, what they are in Star Trek, and putting them into Trek. I'm sorry, Trek.
Also, you said gold instead of, I think you meant bronze, maybe?
No, gold.
Comedy bronze.
I thought you were going to say trash, but okay, good.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, wow.
Wowzers. This is going to be interesting tonight, aren't it? Isn't it? Hey. So, yeah, I love the comedy in this movie. It's so well done. Mm-hmm. You have these characters. You have a lot of the cast who normally don't get to do a whole lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you put them in situations where comedy kind of just naturally flows, like with Spock. It'd be like Spock, like Mary said, like not understanding the culture and all that, and I just find it just very funny. It's very humorous, where you don't get that in most Star Trek films. You're welcome, Drew.
Thank you. Also, I got to get you back in that habit before we start reviewing Lower Decks again.
That is true.
And Francisco, you said you enjoyed the fish out of water aspect. Was that a whale pun?
It wasn't. I wish I was that clever, but
going back to the humor.
Well, I was that clever, but we haven't got to mine yet.
Okay.
Well, all right. Take it away, Drew. What's something you liked? And then we'll get to our classic makers.
Mine is the fish out of water. And yes, that is a whale pun. The whale of a pun.
Admiral, there be whales here.
But everything from the nuclear vessels to computer. Hello, computer. Just use the keyboard.
How quaint.
And to one of my favorite scenes in the whole stinking movie, that punk rocker on the bus playing that music as loud as he possibly can.
That was so funny.
And Spock reaching over. I went to the wrong verse.
Yeah. You know, I just realized that sounds very similar to a song in my... Currently, it's still my favorite movie. It could get knocked off maybe by this movie. Who knows? We'll see later. But Scott Pilgrim versus the World, where they're going up against Crash and the Boys. And it's like...
Yeah. All right, this next song goes out to the guy who keeps yelling from the balcony. It's called We Hate You, Please Die.
Well, the funny thing about that song, I Hate You, is it was written for this movie because Kirk Thatcher, the guy playing the punk, who intentionally played the punk so they would actually the guy would actually look like a punk, because he actually did. He didn't like the music Leonard Nimoy was going to pick because Leonard Nimoy doesn't know punk rock music. So he said, let me write one for you. And he wrote this. The band, Edge of Etiquette, lasted for a day and a half in production long enough to make this song.
Yep. No joke.
And
then Kirk Thatcher, since he's associate producer and actually worked for ILM and does a lot of things, he's actually the guy in charge of the Muppets right now.
Nice.
Oh, so that punk guy is in charge of the Muppets.
Yeah. It's the new theme song for the Muppets. Kick it.
Okay, kind of.
Imagine Dr. Teeth singing that.
That'd be pretty epic, actually.
But he actually returned as that character in Picard season 2 in the year 2024 with that song, but it slightly changed lyrics saying "I still hate you."
Okay, I think
and
pause, because I think someone in the memories may bring that up later. So let's not give it away.
Enough.
All right, let's center ourselves.
I'm nerding out. This is my franchise.
Our Vulcan logic
spoilers too
to continue to the things we loved most, which I guess goes against Vulcan logic. But yeah, the things we loved most about Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. And I'm going to start with Paul this time, actually.
What?
Yeah, no, crazy.
So I'm going to have to mostly agree with Jacob and say the humor. I just enjoyed this.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, is it the best humor in the world? No. Is it a bronze? I would give some. If someone said that, I would think, yeah. But I can
get on board with that.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's fresh air compared to some of these heavier Star Trek themes that they explore. So it's nice.
Okay. So the humor pretty much the freshness to it compared to other Star Treks. Okay, that's totally fair. Let's go to Mary next. What's the thing you loved most about Star Trek 4?
Well, I wrote down, I loved the whole medical scenes with McCoy's reaction to like medieval practices in the 80s.
What is this, Dark Ages?
And
talking about the humor again. Yes.
But honestly, it's I think it's those subtle, like that humor part of it where it's just funny. And you know, even the moment whenever he had to essentially, you know, realizes that woman's like dying of like has dialysis. He's like, let me just give you this pill. You'll be fine.
That gave me a pill and I grew a new kidney.
Yeah. But the fact that he's just so shocked of just how like the practices are just not up to par of what he's used to. So it was really funny. I love that was probably one of the scenes that I absolutely loved of this film. But the humor, I reiterate that definitely throughout it. It's tasteful and not like overdone.
Yeah. I will say, hold on. Did I write this down later? No, I did. Okay. So I'll just put it here now since we're on that topic. I loved 90% of that whole scene. I mean, it was multiple scenes, but the part where they're in the hospital, I just thought it was so hokey, and this is why it's not gold comedy, it's bronze comedy. So hokey, the whole like what I want to call the Scooby-Dooification of them like running away from the Syria guys, especially with the music on it. I'm like,
it has similar vibes. I can see that. Yeah. It
seemed a little too tongue-in-cheek or a little too silly. So that's what
there may be some more on that later.
Okay, all right, but everything else, like all the things you mentioned, Mary, absolutely, those were very fun, and could see why that'd be your classic maker. Let's go to Drew next. What's your classic maker, Drew?
I like this is going to sound like it should be a negative, but it's not. It's the fact that this really does feel like two separate movies that one is on the bookends and you got the one in the middle. They're both connected, but I just love that point as the minute we hit San Francisco and you got those two he goes from being the super serious, we've got to find these whales in order to save the future. And we get to Golden Gate Park and we get a guy just complaining about a toaster as he throws the trash in there. And you got that quick transition to say, okay, we're to the funny part. And then you get to the end and you get this, they're going through, heading towards the sun, trying to time travel back. And they get back, says, did we arrive? Yep, we're back. And I just love how that's like, because you forget for like after that hour that there is actually the Earth is in trouble. We got to save the Earth, and because of this giant space burrito, as we called it.
And there's an intense
out of it,
and the court scene as well. We have to have that.
But that allowed them to actually close the plot threads that had been springing up since Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock,
right?
But then still have their light comedy, and it's not feel like it was completely out of nowhere.
Right.
I just love the fact that this movie was able to do two separate kind of stories in what is this, an hour and a half of movie, and it not feel forced.
Then you must love Back to the Future 2 because it has like 3 stories all in one.
I'm a fan.
Okay,
one's better.
I just want to make sure your logic is consistent. That's all.
Francisco, I grew up on Star Trek Deep Space Nine, where they had they had 3 stories.
I don't want to hear about that, Jacob. What is your classic maker?
Jacob, that was you.
Oh, me. Okay.
The other Jacob.
I got wrapped up, and it was like, what's going on? So my classic maker would be the great and late performance from James Doohan.
Is he Scotty?
Scotty.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Scotty.
You actually get a rare shot of his missing finger in this one.
Do. How do you lose a finger?
In World War II. Because he was in the Canadian military during World War II, and he lost a finger there. And for the most part, Star Trek did a very good job of hiding this fact.
Oh wow!
But when he's sitting down at the Apple computer, you can actually see he's missing a finger.
Oh wow!
For like a millisecond.
Crazy. I'm surprised they didn't work that into his story in Starfleet in some way.
It would have been so funny.
Yeah,
they did it.
He may have not. He may have asked them not to. Out of
maybe.
Probably.
But the thought probably was for the same reason there was no smoking in the future. Medical technology may have been able to regrow it. Granted, future continuity would say that wasn't a thing, but
all right, well, whatever. Well, that leaves me and my classic maker, guys, and really, I really okay. So to set the stage a little bit, I had not ever seen. I've seen Star Trek 2, 4, and 6. I haven't seen the motion picture. I hadn't seen 3. I've seen like the first 15 minutes of 5, and I fell asleep.
That was very wise, Roy, to fall asleep at Star Trek 5.
Yes, I decided going into this, since I'd never seen 3, and I enjoyed 2. I'd like to see the bridge movie, so I watched Star Trek 3: A Search for Spock and very much enjoyed it. And so being able to see, based on what happened, the dramatic gravitas that happens there, being able to see how Kirk and Bones are reacting to getting back their friend in Spock, I thought that was just so touching, and I loved those. I mean, those 3 are great in pretty much every movie I've seen. Their whole interplay. But I especially loved how they were, you could sense that they're like getting back their friend and the joy there is in that. So that almost makes me think of another spiritual speculation. Anyway, so that was my classic maker, guys. And so, I mean, and there probably were some other things we liked. In fact, there's one more thing I liked that I forgot to tell you all about. Stunning and Brave. Hosts Chris Cowan and Nate Henderson for the Stunning and Brave podcast confess their privilege, spotlight stunning social media posts, and fabricate outrage, all while keeping you super woke and enlightened. They'll make you laugh. Yeah, that's right. You have no choice. Check out Stunning and Brave at stunningandbrave.net.
Yeah.
You have no choice.
Thank you, the Claw. I appreciate that.
Yeah. You're scared of the Claw.
Not that Claw, Paul.
What does that have to do with Star Trek 4?
Well, Paul, you guys were talking about how this is comedy gold, or I guess I'd say comedy bronze. And Stunning and Brave is really a comedy podcast. So that's the connection.
But what does Star Trek 4 have to do with Stunning and Brave?
Well, they are saving the whales. That's improving the environment. That tends to be kind of like a prelude to woke culture.
Okay, obviously, Paul, you just want some more Star Trek 4. So how about some trivia about Star Trek 4?
That would be better. Nothing against Stunning and Brave, but let's stay focused.
All right. Here's some trivia about Star Trek 4. Did you all realize the restaurant scene was where Kirk and Jillian go to have pizza dinner? That scene was filmed at an actual restaurant, but one without a pizza oven. So because the characters ordered pizza, Paramount bought and installed a pizza oven to make the kitchen more believable.
What?
Which the restaurant got to keep. But after all that effort, the oven is only visible for like 5 seconds in the film.
I was going to say, I never saw the kitchen or oven at all.
Right?
I was about to say, somebody was friends with somebody that they got a little, hey.
Exactly.
Do me a little favor since...
So my question to you all is, what is an item you've purchased thinking you would use it a lot more than you ended up using? It's probably like collecting dust. And the pricier the item, the better. So let's begin with Paul.
Don't start with me.
All right, Drew.
The most expensive thing that I have that's collecting dust is probably my audio receiver, for my TV, but I use it all the time. But it does collect dust. So
something you
don't use.
You don't use.
Oh, I'll have to think about it.
Okay, Drew.
This right here.
I don't know what
my capture card.
Oh,
for playing streaming video games.
Since
I don't stream video games that much anymore, that's pretty much all this is doing is collecting dust. And I think this was about $100, maybe $150. And yeah.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, pizza ovens cost way more than that. So
Well, I'm also not a movie production studio, so.
All right, fair. How about you, Mary?
Oh gosh, that was such a hard one because before I would have said my Sony camera, but now I use it all the time. So if you would have asked me this 5 months ago, I'd been like my Sony camera that I never use. Now I would almost say my sewing machine, probably.
Oh, okay.
I got it for the purpose of, I'm gonna start making more costumes when I go to cons and all that. But I really haven't been to cons lately, so it's been collecting dust, and I don't really sew, so it's not one of those things like I'm just gonna sew something.
Yeah.
I have a sewing machine in my garage that I was gonna send to my cousin because she wanted one, and we live on separate coasts. But then I packaged it up, got to the post office, and it cost just as much to buy a new one as it is to mail it. It's ridiculous.
Oh my gosh. Jeez, is that one of the old ones where you pedal it, Paul, like in Three Amigos?
Yeah, and I have the sheep right out back where I get the wool.
Amazing! Wow, I'm impressed. And so we're going to send the sheep also, and that's why it's so expensive.
Yeah.
Wow,
and enough food to keep the sheep.
I was actually going to do a cattle bronze we got here.
I was going to do a cattle drive and get the sheep there, but then I saw
you could have gotten Roy to help you with that.
Exactly.
Yeah. My gosh.
I was like, I live in a small town in Tennessee. I know a lot of farmers, so we got you.
There you go. There you go. All right, that leaves Jacob. How about you? Expensive item that you don't use. Item that you bought that you don't use.
I purchased a 3-in-1 printer, scanner, copier for $250 back in college because I'm an artist and I wanted to scan things and do all this great stuff. I used it a little bit. It ran out of ink, and now it's sitting in my apartment. I haven't used it since.
It'd probably be cheaper just to buy a new printer.
Exactly.
Because of how expensive ink is.
You're not kidding.
That's fair.
I wish that we didn't even need printers anymore, but like every 6 or 9 months, somebody requires something to be printed or whatever.
Well, when you have kids that want coloring sheets, you end up using a lot more, Paul, but
you don't technically need a printer for that, Francisco. You just need paper.
Yeah.
To print out
tablet
Minecraft things that they see online.
Have them draw it.
Make them
color
draw
themselves.
Exactly.
Improve that artistic ability while they're young and can still learn.
I do make my son make his own copies. Like he'll put it up against the window and trace out the printed things. So if he wants multiples, he does have to do that. But I do print out the original.
All right. Great trivia, Francisco.
Thank you, Paul.
And now that we've all had some trivial fun, let's find out what memories you, our rad rewinders, had about Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home.
All righty. So from Facebook, James Felix starts us out by saying, it showed that Star Trek could have repeated humorous moments while still maintaining a somewhat serious tone. Also, Captain, there be whales here.
Patrick Edwards says,
hello, computer.
The first movie I remember seeing in theaters.
Oh, wow. Benjamin T. Van Dypen says, I love it. I love Italian. And so do you.
Yes. We both. Yes.
He did a little too much LDS.
Which I never caught before.
Latter-day Saints, right? Not LSD. Yeah.
Who Will Save Generation X podcast comments, we changed the activation word for our Alex A to computer because of this movie.
Did you say Alex A so you didn't trigger your Alex A?
Not only mine, but other folks at home. But I did say
fair.
Computer, so sorry to those folks.
Yes.
And I said
this is why I don't have those things.
Yeah.
Very good. Nathan James Norman says, most people call it the one with the whales. That's for sure.
Wardell White.
That be whales here.
Yeah. Wardell White says, seeing it with my 8th grade class and being my first voyage with the original crew. I never saw an episode of the original series, for it usually came on at the same time as the local 6 o'clock news. I remember liking that the theme was different, and it was literally something down to earth.
Somewhat down to earth, yeah.
Somewhat down to earth. And it was great to finally see Shatner as Captain Kirk, other than cop named T.J. Hooker, or later as a host of CBS's Rescue 911. I also enjoyed seeing that Leonard Nimoy directed the movie. He directed a whale of a movie. Now, let's talk about 3 Men and a Baby.
We've already covered that, Dale, but thank you. Then from locals, D. Tungsten says, I love Italian, and so do you.
A lot of Italian love.
Yeah, apparently.
Fabulous Lomax says, trivia. The actor who played the punk on the bus reprised the role in 2022 for the second season of Star Trek Picard for their time-traveling shenanigans in the year 2024. Again, on an LA bus, he asked to turn the music down by the protagonist and promptly does so while apologizing for being too loud.
That's funny. And finally, Kenneth says, what I remember most are the whales, and that makes it tragic. I don't think anyone should make an effort to see this again, including me. I was not going to pay to see this, so since I can't watch it for free, meant I didn't want to watch to refresh my memories. Saved by the fee. So
that's weird because
really?
There's
Sounds
whales.
more like he was saved by the whales.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you, but
Ken, what do you have against whales? Actually, I have a coworker.
These were extremely good animatronic
They
whales.
were extremely well in.
Yeah. I have a coworker who's deathly scared of whales. Just one of her phobias. But so that's a legitimate reason not to see this movie. I don't know what Ken's deal
they
is.
should
Maybe
watch
it's the same.
the movie Orca, the killer whale.
Or Free Willy.
There we go.
Free Willy's not very scary. Orca is more of like a Jaws ripoff. So.
Yeah, when it's coming right at you.
Anyway, thank you all so much for sharing your memories, Rewinders. And Kenneth's comments sort of leads us into the things we didn't like so much about Star Trek 4. So let's boot up our
worst woofs.
Ken says he says he's not afraid of whales, just to clarify for the listeners.
Good. Okay.
I'm glad.
Thank you for letting us know, Ken. And please let us know, Drew, what is something you didn't like about Star Trek 4?
You mentioned this earlier, but the chase music in the hospital, and on the USS, not on the Enterprise. Was actually not the Enterprise, by the way.
Yeah,
the Enterprise is not in port. And they didn't even use the same class of aircraft carrier to stand in for it. Fun fact.
Jeez, what are they doing? I could totally tell that too.
That music. Scooby-Doo is the right term there.
Absolutely.
I mean, it sounds like they're running through a carnival, for crying out loud.
Not the best soundtrack.
No.
It's not. The soundtrack for the whole movie, certainly Rosenman soundtrack, is not the best Star Trek soundtrack in my opinion. It's a nice difference from what we normally get because he is going for more of a lighthearted feel. But once you get to those two chase scenes involving Chekhov, ironically, it's just absolutely dumb and ridiculous, and those songs should not have been used.
You know who they should have got? John Billiams.
Yes, John Billiams indeed. And for those new to the podcast, that's a running joke on John Williams. It's John Billiams is like his alternate. But
I thought that went without saying, but sure.
Yeah, a little bit. I tried to explain sometimes.
Yes, explaining the joke.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mary. And Mary, why don't you tell us something you didn't appreciate about Star Trek 4?
Okay. So I have a lot of feelings. Listen, you don't understand. So I think anything to do with harming animals, I'm like, I will just choose not to watch it sometimes. Because did I cry in Air Bud, when he told the dog to go away? Yes. I did not like the new Rita in Avatar because of that reason as well. So,
wow.
So I think I didn't like so much about it was whenever they were in the museum and they just show, here's basically footage of them harming all these whales.
There's a lot of footage of that.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that was
I
the
don't want to see
educational
that
portion of the film.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to see that. Anyway, that was just something I immediately wrote down in my notes. Harming of whales. So
that's fair. I think that was the intention of the movie, but I think they went a little too well. Yeah.
So that's similar to something I'm going to say, but for a different reason later. But okay, no, that's totally fair. I could see how I had this one episode, just to have a little bit of a tangent. I had this one episode in college where I was in a religious ethics class, and they showed us a video about vivisection, which is essentially animal experimentation. Yeah, where you try drugs or whatever on animals. And I almost passed out watching it, so I had to leave the room. So I get how that can be traumatic to watch stuff like that. But my story aside, I want to hear, Jacob, why don't you spin me a tale of something you didn't like about Star Trek 4?
All right, Letty. So my first dislike of this film. Mm-hmm. So this is more of a nitpick, but it's such a big nitpick. So we have Julian and Kirk in the restaurant. We talked about this earlier. Mm-hmm. So Julian orders this big pepperoni pizza with extra, what is it, olives?
I don't remember. Mushrooms, I want to say.
Orders this massive
and
thing. And a beer. Yes. So Kirk orders the same thing. So we're talking big Italian pizzas, 24-inch frame, 24-inch pizzas, right?
Right.
So
they
get ready to go. They get their beer, and the guy walks in with a very small little pizza. They order 2 pizzas, and they get 1 pizza. What in the world is wrong with this this waiter? It's like, what in the world?
Maybe he could only carry 1 pizza at a time.
A small.
I was looking. It's really closer to a medium. It's really closer to a medium size he brings out. But you're right. It's not a large.
No, I'd be like, I want my money back, darn it.
Hey,
I want my large pizza.
They're still getting used to the new pizza oven. They're trying to figure out how to cook things.
Apparently, that's no excuse. Give me my large pizza. 2 now.
It's not like Kirk can pay for it.
That is true. Julian's pay for it.
Real quick, around the pike. Your favorite pizza toppings on a pizza? For me, it's pepperoni and pineapple.
I was going to say the same thing.
Really? Very? Oh, wow.
Yes.
Awesome. Sweet. Paul, how about you?
Another pizza. Oh, no.
Yes, Paul.
A pizza sandwich.
Yeah, calzone. No, for me,
I think we call those deep dish.
Yeah, the thicker the better. Yes, for me. But pineapple and ham.
Pineapple and ham. Jacob.
Sauce. No. Bacon and chicken.
Like Canadian bacon or legit pork bacon?
Pork bacon.
I mean, they're both pork, but I mean, like,
different textures. They're different.
They're different. One's ham,
crunchy.
One's actual bacon. Okay,
bacon, not ham bacon.
One's like
exactly.
ham.
And Drew.
I mostly just prefer pepperoni, but I also like a chicken Alfredo pizza.
Oh, those are good.
Okay. And then here in chat, Baba says he likes whale meat on his pizza.
Whale blubber. Sure.
Wow. Blubber pizza.
Ken says sausage and mushroom. All right.
I also like a space burrito on mine.
Oh my gosh.
With a giant white olive.
Let's go back to Drew. What's something else you didn't like about this film?
I am not a fan of the fact that the Bird of Prey set that they use throughout this film is not the same Bird of Prey set they used in Star Trek 3.
It's
because
not.
apparently they tore the set down and had to build another one. And what's funny is that the shot where they're figuring out Spock's looking up the whale song. That's a redress of the set where Spock died in Star Trek 2.
Really?
Really?
Then the reactor and all that? Oh my gosh.
That makes sense.
Which I thought that part's interesting. But the fact is, I'm looking at that set and going, I know all future Klingon Bird of Prey sets are based on this one. Mm-hmm. But this is not what we saw in the last movie. I don't care if they changed all the light bulbs. This is an entirely different architecture.
So some things are not the same, and some things are too similarly the same.
I'm just saying it's not the same shit.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Like the thing that stuck out the most, because I had just seen 3 the day before I saw 4, is that the captain of the Bird of Prey is up on like a big high captain seat, and the pilot and whatever are like sort of down low, almost like how if you envision the Star Destroyers in Star Wars, how it's like Darth Vader's walking on this platform, and then way down below are all the people, all the.
Whereas in this movie, the bridge is basically a Federation starship, but smaller and brown.
Yeah. Well, so I sort of thought in my head, well, they were working for, I think, a few months on this, so maybe they just tore it all out and replaced it with some there.
Why would you do that if that's going to be like a major... there's Klingon writing all over those workstations.
Yeah, they should replace that too, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also, since this didn't come up, that Klingon Bird of Prey shows back up in Picard season 3.
Oh, fun. That's cool.
It does.
Paul, why don't you show up one of your dislikes?
Okay.
Sometimes I don't have the best segues.
Oh, it's good enough. We'll go with it. As we all here have mentioned that we are time traveling fans. We like movies about time traveling. One of the biggest things about time traveling is essentially the butterfly effect. Basically, it's kind of like the Prime Directive. You don't want to disturb it, but yet when Chekhov is like being surrounded in the bottom of the Enterprise, the fake Enterprise, his phaser doesn't work, and so he throws it at the people trying to capture him. It's like, A, that's stupid. You don't want to do that because it could work later, and you throw that away. B, it puts technology in their hands that you don't want to do. That's the butterfly effect.
Yeah. He left the communicator also.
He did.
Yeah, I understand it's for comedy reasons, but
so
the time traveling fan in me screams no.
There's rules. There's rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Even the transparent aluminum.
May I defend slightly?
Okay.
He still got caught at the end of trying to escape the Enterprise. They would have confiscated those items again.
But he wasn't trying to. He was trying to run away.
Yeah.
I get that, but he was kind of in between a rock and a hard place.
But maybe I missed it. But how did he end up in the hospital?
Because he fell off the ship, I guess, hit his head or something. Yeah.
Okay.
And so they took him.
He was in a coma
to the
after
hospital.
he fell.
Yeah. And so instead of putting him in the brig, which they should have done, they tried to be nice and take him to the hospital first.
Yes.
But let's go back to you, Mary. What's something you didn't like? Was it time travel shenanigans or something else?
So coming from, I haven't seen the other ones yet. So this is like the one I've saw. A lot of it was like, wait, what happened? Wait, what?
Yeah.
You know,
there's a lot of references that.
And I get it because it's like the fourth one, so it makes sense, you know. I'm going through all of them, so I'm going through them really in order. So I'll I'll be in order again as I go through them again.
Okay.
Nice. I think that was one of the things I wish. I know a lot of sequels sometimes will do like a recap more on like when they're having conversation and stuff like that. And so I think they did a little bit of that, but I just wanted more because I'm like, wait, what happened? So and then eventually I caught up on it towards like the middle end of it. But I was like, one thing I'm like, I probably should have watched the 3 right in front of it. I broke all the rules, but it's fine.
At least Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock, you didn't have to watch motion picture for this.
So you could just watch 2 and 3, I think.
But it goes up from here, right? You know, so.
More on that in my Tragic Maker.
I will say, Mary, that what was I going to say? It was on that topic that I think it's helpful, to watch at least 2 and 3 going into this. I was going to say that this is, I think, back in the day, my first Star Trek movie that I had seen. So
it was a lot of people's introduction back in the 80s who were like, all right, I guess I'll check it out. It's getting good reviews.
Yeah.
Heck, so this was the first one that came out after I was born.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. So, anyway, but you bringing that up, Mary, does make me think of something. In an effort, that one of my dislikes, in an effort to recap for the audience what had happened in Star Trek 3 with the Enterprise blowing up and whatnot, it totally took me out of the movie. They're sort of, this is at the beginning, they have like this trial. They're putting Kirk and them on trial, even though they're over on Vulcan.
Scene.
Yeah, the courtroom scene. And I'm thinking, okay, you're showing the Klingons in the Enterprise as it self-destructs, and then somehow Starfleet has magic cameras outside the Enterprise from multiple angles that show the destruction.
And it looks just like the third movie. How did they get this footage?
Amazing. It even has the nice shot of the hole burning away the name Enterprise.
Yeah, that just took me out of the movie so much. I mean, the way the third one recaps the second one, it's like you see. I thought that was a little artsy fartsy, but like it plays the last little bit of two and gets bigger and almost like and goes from like I think a monoton or a chromatic to black and white
like a monochromatic
to color.
Blue into color.
Which I mean, it's fine. It's not the best. I think you could have done it a different way, but I think is a lot more in universe than
and it does a good job of placing you back in that headspace you would be in at the end of Wrath of Khan.
Mm-hmm. And so all I'm saying is that I think they could have figured out a better way to do this, even if it's just reshoots or something. I know they were trying to save money, but that really took me out of the movie to see that. And so,
well, you're forgetting two things.
Oh, okay.
The one is that the Federation is all seeing.
God,
and the second thing is the AI technology is going to go beyond all this in a couple hundred years when this takes place.
If it has one camera, it's able to.
It doesn't even have cameras. You just type it in and it'll create it.
I would like to point out the simple fact that the Federation, the only two Federation ships anywhere near the Genesis planet at the end of that film were the Enterprise and the Grissom, both of which were blown up.
Right.
So.
Yeah,
well,
but
there's probes.
Federation is all seen. Yeah, they have probes everywhere.
Yeah.
It's out in the middle of nowhere.
It's all fake news anyway.
The closest outpost is, what is the name of that planet?
Ceti Alpha 5.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Ceti Alpha 5. It's that other one where where they were developing the Genesis torpedo. Anyway.
By the way, I should have brought this up when you mentioned the Bird of Prey, but calling it the HMS Bounty, is that reference to Wrath of Khan? Like, is that the ship?
It's a reference to Moby Dick.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, is it?
The ship's called the Bounty.
The Bounty.
Is it?
Yeah. I thought it was Mutiny on the Bounty.
But Mutiny on the High Seas. Yeah.
Wait, what? The book is Mutiny on the High Seas?
I think that's the name I think that's the name of the movie.
I'm pretty sure HMS Bounty is a reference to Wrath of Khan.
No, because that's the Botany Bay.
Yes,
and that would be.
It sounds the same.
Bounty, Botany,
Starvik, whatever. They're all the same person. Savick, whatever. Anyway,
it's all right.
Mutiny on the Bounty is the name of the book.
Yes.
Okay.
Mutiny on the Bounty.
Okay, and that's so HMS Bounty is from that?
Yes.
Oh, because they're mutinying from Starfleet.
Yes.
They mutinied technically from Starfleet.
Okay, that makes sense.
Go save their friend.
Okay.
Hey, it's all circling back. It's like we're back on track here. That's
amazing.
It's almost like they thought it out.
To continue being back on track, Jacob, give us one more dislike before we get to our tragic makers for Star Trek.
So mine goes with something that I thought I would never hear myself say ever.
Oh, you don't like Monty Python and the Holy Grail? Yeah, you know what?
Shut up, Roy.
Welcome to the party.
Roy.
Make like Wesley Crusher and shut up.
Oh my gosh.
As you wish.
This isn't Princess Bride. Go ahead, Jacob.
Wrong Wesley.
My little buttercup.
How many more movies can we reference?
Yes.
Roy.
Anytime, Jacob.
Give us
my second dislike would be that I thought I would never hear myself say in a million years. Spock was wrong.
Ooh.
About what? We have the prefix of that. Okay, in the 23rd century, there's no longer whales. And the population has been butchered, right?
But no longer humpback whales.
No longer humpback whales. Okay, so we like Spock says by the 21st century, the humpback whale has been put out of existence, right? Am I right?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that was before they went back in time.
That's before they went back and saved the whales.
Yeah, butterfly effect.
Butterfly effect.
Yeah,
but they didn't save the whales of the past.
It's because Chekhov threw his stun gun that they saved the whales.
Literally, Chekhov's gun.
It was a transparent aluminum.
And the transparent aluminum, exactly.
What you got to understand is that whaling vessel there at the very end, they actually were the ones who finished off the humpback whales in the original timeline. But the appearance of the Klingon bird of prey decloaking in the port bow made them all give it up.
Yep,
I'm sure that's what happened. Okay, so your quibble, Jacob, is that we're in the 21st century now, and there's still humpback whales.
Yeah, there's over 22,000 humpback whales.
It's because
the humpback whale population has sprung back up since the 90s.
It's because of this movie. We all stopped hunting them, so we had this movie to thank.
We all know that someone altered the timeline. That's why we don't have flying cars in 2015 and everything.
Good points. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah,
I mean, if you really, Kirk. Hey! If you really want to go deep in the lore on this one, technically, there's been a lot of time travel shenanigans that could have changed a lot of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of butterflies.
I mean, they've moved the eugenics wars from 1996 to 2030. So,
ooh, it's coming!
Wow,
yeah.
Great.
Paul, what I want to hear coming from you right now is your tragic maker. What did you hate most about Star Trek 4?
All right. For me, watching Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, my
tragic maker
is the visualizations when going through time travel.
Oh, yeah.
That is very weird.
They could have done better.
What's it supposed to represent?
It's a lot of things, but whales don't belong there. I mean, like, that's the reason, but it's not part of. You know what they should have done instead?
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh!
That would have been better.
Only if they're fans of the last several episodes of this podcast, Paul. But yes, I agree. It would have been better. Wow.
Or just show a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Yeah.
True. Mary, what did you hate most about Star Trek 4?
Not finding out exactly who and what set the probe.
Oh,
yeah, that would have been nice.
I thought it was Chipotle.
It's supposed to be aliens from outside the galaxy.
But like, I need context.
But like, why?
I need to know why. You know,
why is it so important? They contact whales just to leave again.
Like, I need answers, and there's no answers. Yeah. Didn't resolve the way I wanted it to.
No, I totally
fun fact that wub 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 sound in the background of that clip. Yeah, that's actually Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Oh, it is. I thought it was the sound of my stomach digesting a burrito.
Actually, that's the burrito oven.
Yeah. Next to the pizza oven.
The probe was just weird looking. It made no sense. Yeah. It was like, what am I looking at? Like,
apparently the outside is supposed to look like whale skin, but it didn't to me. It looked like foil.
This is not any stranger than Voyager from Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
I don't know what that is.
Voyager, which is even weirder.
It's weird.
It's
weird.
There's explanations, but it's weird.
I mean, you have to take obviously in context of the amount of technology to make, all the special effects in this film too. So
I agree.
There are a lot worse fourth films that deal with like saving the world from stupid humans.
Yeah. I'll say
Superman 4.
Here's what I'll say. I appreciated so much more the villains in 2 and 3 because they are a lot more clear cut. The motivations of Christopher Lloyd in 3 is a little ambiguous. I think he just wanted Klingons to be the ultimate race. Spoilers. I think that's what he is going for, maybe.
Well, most Klingons do.
Okay. Okay.
That's a Klingon thing.
But at least that's like, okay, I know what your motivations are. This thing is like, why are you...
To save the whales. Didn't you hear Kennethan?
It needed a better enemy. A better enemy.
Yes, better enemy.
Trying to contact the whales and was completely unaware that it was destroying the planet in the process.
Why was it trying to contact the whales?
To make sure they're still alive.
Why?
Because
Are they aliens?
They lost communication with the whales and were sending a probe to find out what happened.
You're saying
one of
that
it is human arrogance that the message must be meant for man.
Okay, but you're saying that whale song is able to go through water into the atmosphere out into space. It has that much power to it.
Maybe. There's a lot of
wobbly, timey, wimey. Give it up.
No, I will not give it up.
There are stupider things in Star Trek than this.
That doesn't give it a pass. Paul, what were you trying to say?
If you've got the whole picture or not, but he's not exactly working on all thrusters.
It's not working.
Saying this is better than it could be.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's go to Jacob next. What was your tragic maker for this film?
All right. So my tragic maker of this movie is Starfleet's inability to get out of its own way.
That makes sense.
So Starfleet be like in every movie, because the only thing you can do anything is the Enterprise, apparently.
They're always the only ship in the quadrant.
Yeah, they're the only ship in the quadrant. So be like
the entire quadrant of the galaxy.
They're always the only ship in the quadrant.
So,
exactly.
So to use the excuse that be like, oh, you have a probe coming into Earth and you have this entire Starfleet at your disposal, which is not a quote unquote military. Like, you're not going to dispatch your entire fleet to stop this thing at a long range. Nope, we're just gonna let this thing come in and disable us, and we're just gonna have this rogue ship come around and we got a great idea. We can translate all of this for some reason, and all of hijinks to go back in time and save some whales. So Starfleet is a bust. It doesn't really work in this movie. It doesn't work. It's like these guys, they're supposed to be explorers. They do everything. And then they just wind up dropping the ball, and just for Kirk can go back in time and save everything.
Yeah, sounds good.
Do you think one of the other Star Trek alien races would have been able to handle it better? Like the Romulans, Cardassians,
or the whale
Vulcans.
people.
The whale people.
Yeah, the whale people.
First off, Romulans aren't in the Federation yet.
I'm not saying the Federation, just any of the alien races that are in Star Trek.
I think it was sent by Borg to
disable
the planet first. And then
that was
take over. What?
Yes, that was V'ger that the Borg sent.
Nice.
I've heard this. Yes,
I'll tell
the
you
Borg
later.
sent the wherever.
No.
It's a joke about Star Trek 1. Move along. You haven't seen it.
Move along home.
Fine.
No. 1, 2, 4,
I'm just nodding like,
Exactly.
So yeah. Starfleet can't get out of its way in order to make the plot move forward.
Okay, that's fair. It seemed more like a contrivance than
it's very contrived.
That they were really like, they did their best to deal with it, but they couldn't muster up a
because of course Kirk is the only one who can save the day.
Well, yeah, he had
to jump in the water at the end, to sacrifice himself for the whales.
Exactly. Yeah, no other captain's willing to sacrifice and swim for the rest.
Well, except for maybe Tim Allen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. You're talking about Galaxy Quest, though.
Yeah, Galaxy Quest,
the best Star Trek movie,
according to J.J. Abrams, which is why I have a problem with the Abrams trilogy.
Wow!
Oh my word!
Is he wrong?
Speaking of moving on,
moving right along.
I'm not sure if I want to go with me next or Drew next. I'll let Drew, as he's probably the most Star Trek fan of us all. Well, I don't know, Paul's pretty.
A little.
Let me go last. Yeah,
I'm gonna let you go last. So, mine has nothing to do with Starfleet. Has nothing to do with Star Trek, really. I just found the character of Jillian so unlikable. I really did not like her. I felt like.
Would you have preferred Eddie Murphy?
I know he was up for this. I don't.
Wow.
I don't know if I would have preferred if it was the same type of character. I thought Catherine Hicks is fine. I like Catherine Hicks in like Seventh Heaven. I know some people don't like her, even that show or her in that. But
did she not scream enough like Willie in Temple of Doom?
Yeah, that was the problem, Paul.
Okay.
No, not at all. She felt very she felt like the type of person that feels like animals are more important than people. Animals certainly have a place. They're part of God's creation. And we're supposed to steward them. Well, I totally agree with that. But I don't, but she doesn't strike me as the person that if I'm having to save a dog or a baby, she strikes me as the person that's going to save the dog and not the baby. So I'm like,
that's her character.
I don't like that type of character. Yeah. So that's why it's my tragic maker.
You may have just
she ties into that whole time travel issue of like, she went to the future, and that feels like a big time travel no.
And good point. And she says she has no one. I guess if her parents are dead, no siblings, no relationships, that's fine. Also, another aspect of this is like, she didn't seem to, and
are you saying you wouldn't forget your parents and your
no, that's not what I'm
your parents to travel 200 years
leave them behind and to go towards something.
I would point out that she was the co-director of that Cetacean Institute. And she just disappears.
Okay. Yeah. What I'm trying to say is it seems like they're building up at least a semblance of a romance between her and Kirk. Mm-hmm. And she's just like skedaddles. No, it's like peace out.
I thought that was great. She flips it on Kirk. Finally, he knows how it feels.
No, okay, that's fair. If that's what they're going for, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. But it seemed like it seemed to, I think I'm bringing a lot of modern mentalities to this.
Yeah, you're not bringing the whole weight of the original series with you. That's the problem.
No,
that's a good point. No. I am not bringing that. So it just seemed, I don't know. It bothered me. It felt like she was very much out for herself and her animals and no one else. Everyone else be darned. So that's
no one else. But yeah,
I'm just saying like that. Okay, that's how it felt to me. So that is my tragic maker. Drew, go ahead and top us off here.
You know what this movie's biggest sin is?
They're going for humpback whales, not blue whales.
This movie's biggest sin is that it ends and we now have to watch Star Trek V.
Oh my gosh.
That is the biggest problem with this film. Really? Is it's the one right before Star Trek V.
Yeah.
The worst film in the series, or as I like to call it, Captain Kirk saves the universe from not God.
He's not kidding.
But I like Yosemite.
Yosemite is the only good part about that movie?
Yeah, it begins
and that shot of the Enterprise in front of the moon. That's a good thing, too.
Yeah.
Everything else makes me go, I do not need to see Uhura in that little bit of dress.
So the worst thing about Star Trek 4 is Star Trek 5?
Yes, the worst thing about Star Trek 4 is it's Star Trek 5.
Really?
What? That's not even part of this viewing experience.
I don't care.
Oh my
All right,
gosh.
well, Francisco can have a like with Stunning and Brave about this movie. I guess you can have a dislike about Star Trek 5.
And the thing is, hey, talking about the same continuity issues, that's not the same bridge set they use in Star Trek 5.
No.
Or 6.
I think it's in contract that they can't.
I thought they rebuilt it.
And the Enterprise in Star Trek 5 is falling apart.
But I thought they rebuilt the whole thing for at the end of this movie. They rebuilt.
It's a brand new Star Trek or Enterprise.
So wouldn't it be different?
We don't want to go there.
Okay.
You seem like you wanted to go there, but you know where I want to go. You know what? We've entered all our trajectories into the firing computer. Alice, to have a firing solution for us.
Firing solution complete. Salvo authority accepted. Ratings prepared to launch.
Right. Salvo authority. What is that?
Gosh, it's time for the moment of truth where we're gonna give our final ratings for Star Trek 4. Do we rate it a classic? We recommend anyone go see this, whether or not they've seen it before. Do we rate it a nostalgic? It's worth your time to revisit it, to rewatch it if you remember seeing it as a kid or in your past and you enjoyed it then. Yeah, pick it up again, rewatch it, you'll have fun. But if you've never seen it before, skip this one. Or do we rate it a tragic? It's not worth anyone's time today. If you've never seen it before, keep it that way. And if you have seen it before, don't sully any good memories you have of it with a rewatch. So let's begin with our guests. Mary, what is your final rating for Star Trek 4?
I would still stick with classic.
Oh, really? Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So classic. And that was your prediction. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, since this is your first of the original series of movies I think you said you've seen, it sounds like it inspired you to want to go back and watch the other ones. Is that the case, or did I misunderstand?
So, I mean, my dad grew up going to truck conventions, got to meet the cast and all the things, cool. At all of it. So I watched a little bit of it, but I wanted to dive into all of it. And so that's kind of where I've been watching a lot of the shows, more of the newer ones and stuff like that. And getting to see this, still being the same characters, but different actors but it was still had that same kind of lightness of it as well. I really enjoyed part of it. So being first time viewer, so classic kind of felt a little bit right.
Very cool. Dad, I finally watched Star Trek and I really love the theme song.
Oh my gosh, Paul.
All right, bye guys,
bye. Jacob, what was your final rating? You had predicted classic as well. What was your final rating?
I did. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to give it a tragic.
Whoa!
Because Star Trek 5 is the superior movie.
I will come over there and slap you upside your forehead.
You're in danger.
It's a raw forehead, but I'm kidding.
Throw your phaser at him.
I'm kidding.
Disrupt the timeline. Throw your phaser.
I don't want to die here.
Okay.
It's a classic.
Well, now, so I think, though, you said tragic first. So I'm going to have to put down tragic. Sorry.
Roy?
That's how this works. I am not Roy. It's Francisco.
Roy.
Roy's? Okay.
But so classic, Jacob, more seriously?
Classic.
Very
much classic.
All right. Drew, how about you? You had predicted nostalgic this time. What was your final rate?
So fun fact, my rating on these movies has not changed in like 5 years. So in terms of ranking, this is actually my 5th favorite Star Trek film.
Oh.
Okay.
You like Star Trek 5. Okay.
No.
Oh, this is your 5th.
This is number 5. Going from best to worst, this is number 5 on my list. So the question here really isn't, did it improve on this film or not? It's like, where have I moved the line from above Star Trek 4 to below Star Trek 4, where the nostalgia classic line is? And I think I have. I think this is a classic.
What?
Oh,
what?
Wow.
Okay. That's... I was going to say unprecedented, but it's not unprecedented at all. All right. So we have 3 classics from our guests. Before we get to me and Paul's reign, we get your guys, everyone who supports us at the $5 level at retrorewindpodcast.com/support. You get to have your voice, your final reign tallied as well. And when I average all the reigns from you awesome reflex capacitors together, you collectively rated Star Trek 4 a disputed classic film. So we have another classic from the reflex capacitors. So, Paul, I think we're going to be outgunned here no matter what we say. But you had predicted nostalgic.
I might as well just say tragic, but
I mean, you could. Tragic?
I'm going to throw my vote away. I predicted nostalgic, but I was shocked. I actually found myself enjoying this watch more than I thought I would. And at this point, I would recommend anybody, if they haven't seen it, to go ahead and watch it. So I'm going to join the cool kids and rate this classic.
Yes. Yeah. Well, very cool.
Welcome to the bright side.
Depending on how this goes, we've either all mutinied or we are one big happy feast.
I mean, it would be awesome to be a happy family, but unfortunately, this is going the way of Monty Python and the Holy Grail once more.
Right. Oh, yeah, I forgot you don't like funny.
Though this is very much a movie. I'm not saying this isn't a movie. Like, that is not one. But no, this is a movie. But this was almost too silly for me. And I think I shot myself in the foot watching Star Trek 3 right before, with much higher stakes, much more drama, much more sci-fi. And so having watched this right after that, it was just way too silly for me. It wasn't as enjoyable as I remember. So I'm going to say tragic because of Star Trek 3. So unlike you, so you said your tragic maker is that this ends and goes to Star Trek 5, Drew. Mine is that this is such a disparate tone from Star Trek 3. So tragic is my rating.
But that's why I liked it. Like I said earlier, it's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I didn't like that breath of fresh air. I wanted them to continue on with the 2 and 3. I thought that was great, solid.
You know what's wrong with Roy? He didn't watch 1, 2, and 3 immediately before 4, so he didn't get tired of the drama.
Yeah.
You can skip 1, go to 2, then 3, then 4.
I haven't seen 1.
You're good.
No, if you watch 1, you'll appreciate 4 more.
Yeah, watch motion picture.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I don't want to watch it.
Look, I'll even look, if you're going to watch 1, do watch the director's edition. It is the better cut of the film.
Yeah,
but you will still be wondering.
I did try to watch 1. I didn't get far.
And I will say,
really tried.
Slow and boring.
I have seen the motion picture in a theater twice now. It does play better in a theater.
Okay.
In the same way that 2001: A Space Odyssey plays better in a theater.
No, that doesn't play good anywhere, but okay.
I heard it's a snore fest.
Yeah.
Well, I never could get through 2001 until I saw it in the theater.
Same here.
Anyway, according to the Retro Rewind podcast, though, we rate Star Trek 4 or Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home a slightly disputed classic film. We'd recommend anyone go out and see this, whether or not they've seen it before. But now it's time to, well, we need to actually figure out why Travis brought us to 1986 when we were supposed to get back to the Fix-Its in 1983. So while we're doing that, let's figure out where we can find everyone. Travis?
Return to 20XX over in
20XX.
Comsats broadcasting while awaiting return coordinates.
Thanks, Travis. Or should I say,
hello, computer.
It still feels good to be still in 1986, but we wouldn't have been able to travel here to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors, namely Deborah Powers, Geek Devotions, Drew of the Cellcast. Oh, you're right here. Ashley Ruiz, Kenneth Thin, Fabulous Lomax, Rosie Lomax, That's Our Babo, D. Tungsten, Dale, Mr. Lost, Daryl Hafner, Cool Deluxe, in addition to 2 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. We really do appreciate you all. And if you want to help keep us flying and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to start.
This stream's at full power, and she's got plenty more to give. That's excellent news, Mr. Scott. How is this possible?
Well, Captain, logic would indicate the reason is because this stream is sponsored by PaulJPowers.com.
Hey, Captain, are there any non-monetary ways to support the show?
Actually, yeah. If you live in, the 23rd century where they don't have money anymore, you can't support that way. That's totally fine. I will say you probably enjoyed this episode if you've made it this far and you're listening right now. So if you're not driving, tap the share icon on your podcast player for this episode and send it to a friend. And I know you like Star Trek, or I know you like Star Trek 4, so I thought you would appreciate this podcast about it.
Cool. And I'll bet they'll thank you for it.
I think so.
And speaking of thanking people, we want to give a big whale hug to everyone for joining us and supporting their thoughts about Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. Let's go around alphabetically like I like to do. So we'll start with Drew. How can people find you online? Is there anything cool going on?
Oh, there's a lot of cool things going on.
Yeah, all those things. That's amazing.
Both Jacob and I are on the Cellcast. Yep. We review animated movies and television shows. And I don't know if Roy actually thought this through, if he's actually just a genius when it comes to marketing, and I just didn't catch it. However, it just so happens this is right before we're going to be starting reviewing Star Trek Lower Decks Season 4, which ironically the poster is based off Star Trek 4's poster.
Oh, cool.
And they even said this time we're not bringing in the whales. Yeah, we're going to be starting reviewing that starting Labor Day weekend. And that's when we're going to release our Strange New World, our review of the Strange New Worlds Lower Decks crossover episode. Very so keep an eye out for that. Plus, listen to our regular show where we're reviewing we're going into bad movie month.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
And what was that, Jacob?
He said pray for us.
Oh, pray for you.
It's rough.
And then, we got a lot of cool stuff coming up. So
cool.
Cellcast.
Very awesome.
Just follow me on Drew's Photo Bin on Facebook to catch some of my photography if I ever bother to update the page.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And Jacob, thank you for coming on. How can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on that they should check out?
Yes, you can go to my Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where I try to draw every day. I don't get there as much, but I do. I've been doing this for 5 or 6, 7 years at this point.
Nice.
And so yeah, if you want to support me, support my art, please go over there. If you want art commissions, please contact me through there or any of my social media. You basically find me just Jacob Heron on Twitter, Twitter and Instagram. And if you want art commissions done, please let me know. And that's about it.
All right, cool.
Awesome.
And Mary, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Where can people find you online, and how can we know what's going on?
Yeah, you can find me at nerdsandjesus.com, and that kind of will lead you to all of our episodes, to our Patreon, to our merch store. It's all the things in between. So definitely right now, just reviewed Blue Beetle. Was great. I'm a Latina. I'm also from the same town where the comic's based out of. So got to fun. It was really great to review that movie. Also going through the Chronicle of Narnia series for the first time. I've never read any of them. So going through it on the pod. Yeah, so we're currently in The Magician's Nephew, so that's coming up, and that's going to be happening, especially with the writer's strike. You don't know what kind of content's coming out, so we're going to be reviewing a lot of the Chronicles of Narnia series, especially in the next year. But yeah, also got really cool guests coming on from Bible X, who is a video game developer for an actual open world gameplay as if you can travel into ancient Israel. So got to interview them. It's super exciting. So a lot of fun interviews of different, even people that I've never met before, or maybe we've never heard of before. So get to review them or interview them on the pod. So a lot of different things on over there happening.
So what's the main thing that is covering, like geek culture? The thing you do on Nerds and
everything
Jesus,
that has to do with that's nerd related and through just a Christian perspective, and it's just clean, especially with any reviews that happens, stuff like that. And but yeah, I mean, we talk D&D, we talk cosplay, we talk cons, we talk gaming, and all the things in between. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, very cool. Thank you so much for taking time to come on the show, Mary. Also, Jacob and Drew, awesome to have you back. And thank you so much to my awesome friend Paul for another fun voyage. And all of you who were listening. Awesome to be on this movie time traveling travels. Take it with you. We'll go with that.
Shenanigans?
Shenanigans. Yes, exactly.
Is this
time travel shenanigans?
Exactly.
Sure.
With whales.
Ivy : time travel shenanigans?
That's right. Yes.
All right. And, you're welcome, Francisco. And I am pauljpowers.com. You can find me at pauljpowers.com.
Oh, I never would have guessed. And you can find me on our Discord for show announcements or just to say hi. Join us there at retrorewindpodcast.com/Discord.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box, a curated collection of podcasts, videos, and articles that will provide you a balanced meal of content. You will find culture celebrated for its past and future, satirized for its extremes, explored in study, and created anew in story. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
As that floating voice just said, we are now part of Culture Box Media Network. Find all shows unpacking truth through story, comedy, and geekery and nerdery at culturebox.media.
Thank you so much, XO, and thank you all for listening. We pray you are more joyful today than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we gotta catch you all later for, I'm not sure. I think we're gonna try get back to 1983 now. So we'll see if that happens, or if we end up somewhere else in the movie space-time continuum. But we'll be sure to catch you next time and find out where we're going in our ship's logs. But check it all out on the next episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Rewinders of the Lost Pod mission complete. Review audio ship's logs for more details.
Sulu, take us home. Thrust is functional.